Welcome to the HWM YouTube channel. Today we're going to reveal to you a very special run of 19 Caterhams that celebrate HWM's incredible Grand Prix history. I give you the HWM Caterham.
Hello Guy. So we're sat in front of our lovely 1951 HWM Alta. There's a story a lot of people don't know about HWM, and we're trying to convey this message in this video. Would you like to tell us more?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, we're well known as an Aston Martin dealer. We're the world's oldest Aston dealership. In fact, this year we celebrate 75 years of representing Aston Martin. But our story started before that. We were founded in 1938. Bad time to start a business. World War II kicks off. And then after World War II, John Heath, who founded the business, teamed up with George Abacussus, who was an up-and-coming Grand Prix driver. And what they really wanted to do more than anything else was create their own British Grand Prix team to fly the flag for Britain and go out and race in Europe. And there were really two people trying to do it, two teams trying to do it at that point. There was HWM, there was us, and there was BRM up in Lincolnshire. Now, BRM were a really interesting outfit. They had a lot of financial backing, they had industry backing, a lot of press, and they had this amazingly complex V16 1.5 supercharged engine. John and George applied a different approach. They applied the KISS principle, the keep it simple stupid. And what they did was they created a Grand Prix car around a really strong Alta engine. And this was a race car constructor that George had raced with before. He knew it was a good engine. And they set about building beautiful cars in our workshop, in this very building here. So they started building cars, and what they needed was talent next. And this was post-World War II. There wasn't a lot of money about. They were men of means, but relative to a manufacturer, they had a modest budget. So what John and George were particularly good at was spotting talent before it became expensive. And the kind of names that have been through this place are just incredible. So if I name a few people, I mean, I can't name them all, there's so many, but Paul Frere, who went on to be part of the Aston Martin World Championship team. Peter Collins, who went on to be Ferrari World Champion. Duncan Hamilton, really famous driver. Alan Mann, of Alan Mann Racing, who did so much with Ford and GT40. Lance Macklin, one of my favourite racing drivers, a real character. Louis Chiron, that the Bugatti Chiron was named after, has been through here. And probably one of the most famous names is Stirling Moss. Sir Stirling. He wasn't Sir then. And the interesting thing about Stirling was a privateer when John and George spotted him. And he was racing a little Cooper 500. And they offered him a proper job. So for Stirling, the first paid job for him was working at HWM as a works race driver. And that's kind of where his career kicked off. And this would have been 1950-51 season. He raced 40 races for us, and there was actually a 2-volume book written about HWM, and he writes the foreword in it. And one of the things he says about HWM, and this probably gets to the crux of what we're trying to communicate, is that he said the key thing about what HWM achieved post World War II was they were the team that just got it together, and went out racing, and they were the preeminent race team for the UK. And they kind of formed what the basis was of Grand Prix expertise in the UK that was a launch pad for an incredible industry, and we still remain, as a country, the world leaders in motorsport and Formula One tech and expertise. And that's amazing for that to all have come from HWM.
Thank you, Guy. It's an incredible history.
Yeah.
How does this lead on to Caterham?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. So we've been representing Caterham for just over 2 years now, and there are some parallels really, because one of the attractions for us in terms of working with Caterham is that it's a British brand. It's hand built. I almost see them as the plucky underdogs that we were, and they apply the KISS principle because their cars are pure, simple, lightweight. You know, we were renowned for turning out beautifully finished cars. That's what Caterham do. So, you know, as petrol heads, I love the brand and I love the purity, and I love the fact that we can still sell cars without ABS, traction control, naturally aspirated engines, manual gearboxes, no ADAS systems. I mean, they're just a joy. So the final thing for me was the fact that, you know, we know Caterham well, and we can pick up the phone, go and see the team there, speak to the engineering team, and they'll do highly bespoke bits for us. And that's been a really exciting factor. The amount of tailoring we can do has enabled us to create something really beautiful. Right, shall we take a look at the car?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. So we've got the 1951 Alta in to have a look at next to the HWM Caterham. I mean, this was campaigned by multiple people. Sterling Moss drove it back in the day. We're lucky enough to own it as a business. I mean, they're really valuable now. There's 19 were made, hence 19 of these, which is a lovely combination. But actually, most of these get raced and used now. They're successful. In fact, Goodwood Revival 2024 Free March Trophy, we locked out the front in the big final race. So as HWM, I think it was HWM Cadillac that won. So they're still alive and racing, and that's lovely to see. So it's been nice to draw inspiration. But so as a start, Ollie, with this, there are various Caterham engine options. What was the decision in terms of engines with this, and why?
Okay, so for me, I think this car needed to start, well, it needed to be a 420. Mixture of reasons, dry sump.
Yep.
It's also got 210 horsepower, so it's the more powerful variant of the Duratec out of the two. And I thought it was a great basis, be it you want it to be a track car, or you'd like it to be a fast road, or even a GT car. It gives you that scope to turn it into any of those three.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing about a 420, so it's got over 400 brake horsepower per tonne, so you're getting to a point where they can be docile, but I mean, you're getting close to a Ferrari Enzo's mid 400s brake horsepower per tonne, a Carrera GT's, that sort of. I mean, it's a properly quick car, isn't it? As well, you can mix it on track with some very quick stuff and hold your place pretty well.
Absolutely, and as standard, this car comes with the sport suspension pack as well. So it's already at that point where, yep, that's good enough for the track, but also not too bumpy for the road.
Yeah, that's fair. First of all, I'm looking at the frame bits. We can see the suspension that caught my eye. What was the thinking there in terms of detail externally?
Well, the kind of retro grey colour, which again harps back to post-war Britain, I thought was a great colour to choose, and I think it works really well with the green. You've got not only the chassis and the roll bar, but also all the suspension, anti-roll bar, and all the mounts for the anti-roll bar as well. So the detail that has really gone into this is really nice. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you can't miss the front first off with that grille. And I'm really pleased to see the HWM roundel. Yep. There on the one. That's probably, must be the first time Caterham, a different roundel has appeared on a Caterham. Yeah. No, absolutely, especially with a different manufacturer almost.
Yeah, I love that. Going round the side, so Caterham do a Super 7 variant. What was the rationale in terms of aesthetics, wheels, tyres, and those sorts of things? Because maybe there could have been an argument to go for some skinnies.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. The skinny classic cycle wings.
Yeah.
Do you know what, the one of the reasons we didn't go for those was it limits the width of the wheels and tyres. So great if we were going on to the 14s.
Yep.
But if we wanted the Apollo, the 13s, which are 6-inch front and 8-inch rear, then we would have to go with these cycle wings. And I think it sits quite nicely. Yes, the retro ones would have been cool, but I think it ties in quite nicely with that.
Yeah, I love them. I think they look great. And of course, it's track fit, as you say.
Yes.
And then going down the side, extra detailing.
Yes, yeah. Well, the first thing we'll mention about the side is the side louvers.
Yeah.
Which was something that I've always thought would look really good on a Caterham, and taking the inspiration from our HWM Alta, and then being able to work with Caterham and for them to allow us to do that on the car, was really special. And also the continuous louvers on the bonnet, which obviously we don't have them on the bonnet there, but we've got them down the side continuously.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then I love the Union Jacks on the side. Again, just a really lovely touch.
Yeah.
And then straight away you can see these Brooklyn screens. So yeah, what was the plan there? And do you have to have Brooklyn screens?
So no, you don't have to have Brooklyn screens on this. They are an option.
They do look cool.
They do look really cool, and they are almost identical.
Yeah,
almost identical. And for me, I've probably spec'd this car for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Series 3. We've done 2 of these cars, and the Series 3 is more the track focus variant.
Yep.
So brakes wise, it's got the optional quad piston calipers on there. Both cars we've spec'd with the lowered floors, just because I think that's a must these days. And then the Brooklyn's aero screen really kind of harps back to that. And then we'll talk about the dash in a minute, but with the wooden steering wheel and it being quick release as well, which is not available on Caterhams. So to get a quick release wooden wheel and driving this car, there's something about having the wooden wheel, maybe when it's sliding around a little bit, it just feels quite nice to control. It's a really nice thing to hold on to. Yeah,
steering wheel is an important thing because it's that tactile element. It's your main contact with the car, and so to have such a thing of beauty,
yes,
it is lovely. So cabin-wise as well. So this is an S3.
Yes, Series 3 chassis, lowered floors.
Yep, lowered floors, and then seat-wise.
Seat-wise, so these are the standard composite seats.
These
but something,
they're mega.
Something that's never been done before is the embroidery on the headrests. Which makes me want to put it in the 270 really, in the race car, but I think they look absolutely stunning. And again, this one, the Series 3, I wanted to be more of a track focused car.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look at our other one in a minute, which is the more GT, the more comfort spec. But I felt that these seats really suited this car, and it was something that had never been done before, so it was nice to do something a bit different. Yeah,
that's really cool. And then, so we should talk about the dash, the differences with the dash and the centre tunnel.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'll start off with the tunnel there. So I thought colour-coded, that was quite nice. It put a bit of colour into the interior.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And it's such a lovely green, and I like seeing all the welds and the details of all of that.
Yeah.
Umming and ahhing about gear stick finish and handbrake finish, but I think we've made the right decision there.
Yeah,
with the chrome.
Yeah.
And then the dashboard. So the dashboard in that is your bare metal finish.
Yep.
And again, wanted to do something a bit different, something handmade, something beautifully crafted, and a hand-turned aluminium dashboard. And we played around with a couple of different finishes, be that gloss or be that a satin lacquer, and we ended up going for the satin just because I think it shows off that bit more detail. And I'm blown away by how it's turned out.
I agree. Yeah, that it just for that handcrafted nature, a finish like this, the man hours that's gone into that is beautiful. And then the retro dials, that's what. Yeah, and then your off switch.
Switch. Yeah, the kill switch, which we go back to the Super Sprint.
Yeah.
It's the traditional metal key kill switch, which is again, these are handmade. All of this had to be remanufactured because it just doesn't exist anymore. So to have that detailing and to have that you touch that, you feel that, is really tactile. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's mega. And then we've got roll bar to match chassis.
Yep, roll bar to match the chassis, and you can see the chassis here as well. And then coming round to the back, a bit like the harnesses, we've got the retro ham Caterham badging and the classic centre filler.
It looks so good. I love that. And then you've got LED rear lamps as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it looks really funky at the rear.
Yeah, just from a modernising point of view and a visibility point of view, it's good to have that.
That's a nice touch. But yeah, that's a beautiful spec. Okay, Ollie, so we've got an SV in now. How do you tell it's an SV?
Easiest way, if it's got a windscreen, an SV has 9 poppers,
Okay.
rather than 5 along the top. And also, if you look at the front grille, it's that much more stretched.
Yep.
Because an SV is not only longer, it is also wider.
Yep.
And you do get a bit more fuel in the tank as well.
Nice. Bigger tank, bigger boot space,
Bigger boot space,
wider cabin.
wider cabin. Yeah. The seats are wider than a Series 3. So if you have leather seats on a Series 3, they will be smaller. You wouldn't be able to bolt these seats into a Series 3.
Got it. Yeah. So I've seen people 6'3", 6'4" getting these.
Yeah, easily, and potentially taller as well.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
You know, there's people that race Caterhams in Series 3s, which are 6'3", 6'4". So
Amazing, really. Brilliant. So the interior is different than this one, which is very cool.
yes,
What's different about it?
yeah. So the interior on this one, we've gone for the leather seats with the tartan inserts.
I love this. Yeah.
We just thought it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, there's no tartan on our HWM, but we thought, what can we do that's a little bit different? And I did think, do we go with green seats? But green seats, green car, there's a lot of green going on.
I agree.
So we thought we'd switch it up a little bit. You'll also notice we've got the retro style Caterham logo
Yes,
on the harnesses, which is also on the back of the car.
Yep.
And I think the tan and the tartan works really well with the wooden steering wheel.
It does. Yes. And then against the green, it's just a beautiful combo. So with this, it's also got the wet weather gear.
Yep. So you've got the wet weather gear all in here. This one's got the chrome windscreen surround as well. You can still opt for the components to be finished in black, which would give you all that if you desire to do a different spec.
Yep.
But one thing you can't spec on this car is the Brooklands aero screens. They are only applicable on the Series 3.
That's fair. So the big question then, how do you spec yours?
Mine's sat over there, the Series 3.
Literally, as that is. Brooklyn screens.
Brooklyn screens. I'd probably, have a look back at some of the HWMs and maybe copy some of the race decals.
Yep.
I think that would look really cool, put a race number on there.
Yep.
But apart from that, maybe put some PPF on it to protect you from track, but that's about it, really.
It's ready to go.
Yeah. What about you?
So I'd go S3 chassis. I would have full wet weather gear because I could use it any time. I'd have the race seats, limited slip diff, upgraded brakes, PPF,
Nice.
and a half hood.
Okay, yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah, and and the Academy seats would fit in here perfectly. They would obviously be a larger seat.
Yep.
In a series 5 as well.
Brilliant. Well, you'll have to let us know how you'll spec yours.